Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Excessive Pop Culture Discussion, the show that gets harder to say as time goes on. This is our weekly unscripted pop culture show where we talk about everything that's happening in the world right now that has nothing to do with news or politics or the president. I am your host, Daniel O'Brien. I'm joined every week, apparently, by Maggie May.
Oops.
And this week, for the first time, making his debut, Zora. Hey Zora, thanks for joining us.
Hey, how's it going, America?
Immediately.
Hello, America.
We have a lot to talk about. We're going to try things a little bit differently this time, so let's just get right into the week in headlines. I'm going to burn through a bunch of quick headlines and see if anyone has any hot takes about any of them before we dig into the meatier stuff.
The pressure, Dan. The pressure.
Daniel Craig is officially going to be back for James Bond, and Christopher Nolan may direct. The Batman script that Ben Affleck wrote has been thrown out, and they're starting from scratch. J.K. Rowling printed her unpublished manuscript on a party dress. Quentin Tarantino might be doing a Charles Manson movie. Any feelings on any of those things?
I approve Daniel Craig coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but also didn't he say he'd rather kill himself than
He
do
did. I
another
think
Bond movie?
he was doing an interview like right after the exhausting ordeal of making a Bond movie, and he's tired and miserable, and someone's like, "You ready to do another Bond?" And he says, "I would rather break this glass and slice my wrist than do another Bond."
Wow.
And time has passed, and either he's remembered how much fun he had on set, or this is a
suicide note?
negotiating tactic. I never know if he, like, when you say, "I don't want to come back to do Bond," I don't know if that's like genuine or you really need to offer me a lot of money to get me to come back.
Yeah, maybe he was just like sort of really trying to get Idris Elba to like replace him, and then they were like, "No, he's not going to replace." And then, no, Mom, I'm sorry. And then, yeah, he was just like, you know, if it's not going to be Idris, I'll come back.
Yeah, although he also seems to not like the character of James Bond, because he's also given interviews that's like, oh, he's misogynistic. You don't realize that? He is. And he said a bunch of things like that makes me, I think he really wanted to move on, and then was like, oh, I guess there are no parts for me right now. Oh, I guess I can do a Bond.
I'm curious what Nolan and Daniel Craig will do together for this, because Nolan, I don't love as a director specifically because I don't think he knows how like humans interact with each other. I haven't seen him like portray like healthy couple or like happy like brother and sister pair. He just doesn't know what human interaction is, and I think Craig's Bond is the sociopath Bond that can't really connect to anyone, and I just think that's a natural pairing, and I'm excited to see what they do together.
Two sociopaths together.
and also just like Daniel Craig, like just being over it. Like it may be a really interesting take like on Bond.
Maybe he's over Bond. Maybe that's the story. He's
just
over.
An exhausted Bond.
Yeah.
All right, the main things we wanted to talk about. Baby Driver is a movie highly anticipated. Edgar Wright's first bona fide hit. We have a rolling doc where people pitch headlines, and Zor, you said, Baby Driver, this movie deserves to be discussed. And,
it does.
I think it does too. And I have a thing that is unrelated to this discussion that's been sort of hanging over my head. I have a friend I've known for 20 years from growing up, and she said, "Did you see Baby Driver? I loved it. You would be Baby," is what she said of me.
Really?
And I don't know what to do with that information.
Oh, wow.
Wait, are you really into music?
Not more than anyone else.
Okay.
Maybe it's because you're like the unseeming, like, oh, what, me? That's my Dan impression.
Right? Yeah, I mean, there are headphones. I don't know.
I think it's a headphones thing. I think part of it is like being a theater kid and having that sort of like it's a very theatrical movie. I thought you said it's like a music video.
Yeah.
It's very much like a ballet to me, where there isn't like blocking of now you're gonna cross over there. It's like very specifically the whole thing is choreographed, and I think that idea of like seeing yourself as a hero in your movie
for sure
and dancing through it. That's sort of my vibe.
No, it was. It was like a Fatboy Slim video for like a really long time with like racing, you know, sort of like fast cars, and that's why I thought it deserved to be talked about.
Yeah.
But it's special, but you know, like it's not the most perfect movie story-wise, but I don't think that's what it's supposed to be. And if you look at it as sort of a really long music video with some like sort of interstitial dialogue, then I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it too, and it seemed like a natural step of Edgar Wright's, and I feel like he will eventually do a full-blown musical that's work like
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
so much of his movies have been so specifically paced and shot and just very meticulous, and like he did a full-blown musical sequence in Scott Pilgrim, and like the whole opening of this movie after the car chase when Baby is dancing around people and like you're passing street signs that are that have the words that are in the lyrics of the thing, that is just like, just make a musical, Edgar Wright. Just do it. Just
Well, yeah, it's interesting to see like auteurs like get their chance to make their movie, you know, and it's like looking at like Wes Anderson's earlier work, and then when he like really hit his groove, and now you know what a Wes Anderson movie is. So it's kind of like the same thing with Edgar Wright. We saw I love Scott Pilgrim. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And just to see what he does when he gets complete free reign to make his work of art.
And also, like, a lot of people, I heard them compare it to Scott Pilgrim, Scott Pilgrim is incredible, but that wasn't a movie that it wasn't an original idea. It was based off a graphic novel. So, like, it's hard to compare those two. I think it's unfair. I mean, compare it more to, like, like Hot Fuzz or, Paul. Which I loved. I loved Paul.
Oh yeah, Paul.
I did not see it. Which is
it's the alien, right?
He ended up not directing that though. He had to back out to do Scott Pilgrim, and the fella from Adventureland popped in to direct. Isn't that crazy?
I don't know. Something we can look that up. But I thought that was one of the.
I bet we won't.
America. Whether he directed Paul or not, it's my favorite Edgar Wright movie. No, I'm kidding.
My favorite Edgar Wright movie is the Ant-Man that was never made.
Yeah.
Ant-Man that was never made.
The Ant-Man that he wanted to make that they didn't let him make it, and then he turned that into Baby Driver with some tweaks, I'm sure. But like there are a lot of sequences from Ant-Man. I think that like the 3 heist structure certainly was a big part of both movies. I love this movie so much, but I don't think it's my favorite Edgar Wright movie because I lean more towards comedy, and this was like his more adult grown-up movie. Like it was definitely like an action movie with some comedic elements in it. I still enjoyed it. I came to work the next day like real psyched on Baby Driver, and the first person to come up to me would be like, but what about any of the women in the movie? And it's like, oh yeah, that's right. It's the only reason it's a disappointment is because it's like, because when a director gets to do his like favorite film and like he doesn't make decisions to make well-rounded female characters, it almost feels like a decisive decision. Yeah. Even though it totally is from Baby's perspective, who is like, a white dude, and he probably that is at his age. That's how he sees women. That's how he sees like people who like aren't he doesn't hang out with every day. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I totally get it, and like, and also, I mean, watching the movie, it's like, the people of color are not like wholly formed as well, and like, Jamie Foxx was great, and then he. I don't want to mess it up, but like.
No. Spoilers for everything that we ever talk about.
Yeah, spoilers for. He just gets killed off like abruptly.
Yeah.
Right.
And like that Asian dude as well, like just sort of like disappeared.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, like there were issues with it, but again, like it was from like the hyper perspective of like a 20-year-old like straight what.
To him, those are forgettable characters. Like Jamie Foxx would be a forgettable character in his narrative story that he's the hero of. They're side characters to him.
And like the driving was so dope. It's like in just those scenes with like a Toyota like them just like driving a Toyota Camry and
Product
sort of the money.
Toyota Camry.
Yeah, like that was fun to see them driving normal cars.
Yeah.
Because that's what getaway drivers do. Like they have to drive nondescript, like sort of.
Yeah, gotta confuse people and switch cars constantly. I like that. Because that's a thing that I'm a terrible driver and have never been a getaway driver and never will be. But I like to be armchair expert on anything that I do. So when I watch Driver and Baby Driver, I'm like, yeah, that's what it's like. That's how it is.
That's what it's like.
This movie's legit. That's how it really goes.
Well, apparently he was in the script, like he wrote in like Toyota Camry and Honda Accord and those type of cars that actually get stolen, and sort of like the studio note that he got was like, well, can you like make the cars in the film more like aspirational? Like maybe.
That was a nice way to put it for the
that's a beautiful studio note.
Sorry, can we sell a some spots to Jaguar? Can you just write that
Yeah,
in?
exactly.
'Cause I would love that for my paycheck.
Maserati.
Maserati.
But then they sort of settled on a halfway point where it's like the Subaru
Yeah.
sort of like racing car that still looks like a street car, but is actually used in sort of like these derby races and everything, which is super cool. And they still snuck in a couple of, like normal cars.
Yeah, there's some fancy cars and some normal cars in it too. And
Yeah.
I liked every bit of it, but I watched it again last night in preparation of this, and with everyone's notes in my head about now try watching it as if you're not a straight white guy whose friends think he's baby. Just try watching it like critically watch a movie. And he sits in the diner, and Deborah sees him. They have one conversation, and she's like immediately, unquestionably in love with him.
Yeah.
Like down for his crimes no matter what. That never even.
Right.
She's never even like,
Hey,
hey, it's
what?
crimes that you do? That's bad.
Yeah.
She's just like, we do crimes
It was
now.
it was like ride or die at first sight.
Right,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is, yeah.
And there's even a certain, like,
That's the most, like, to me, everything else was so unconventional. It was odd to have a conventional love story within this, like, unconventional narrative that he put together. Although, I'm sure he did it on purpose, because it was like, look at this cool thing I can do with this normal story.
Right, like Southern blonde waitress is, screenplay 101,
Right.
boring love interest kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they really played into that. And just one of the other things that stuck out to me as a weird romance point for them is that Baby and Deborah meet, and then Deborah's talking to one of her coworkers. The coworker's like, oh, do you like Baby? Like, yeah, he seems nice. Yeah, he comes in here a lot. His mother used to work here. And there's no like weird flashes of Oedipal anything. It's not like, oh, his name is Baby, and he comes to a waitress where his mother worked and falls in love with a woman who calls him Baby. It's just like a strange thing that
Yeah.
didn't,
Yeah, I clocked that. I was like,
I clocked that.
yep.
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that was a subtle edible thing, or maybe that's just something that got cut in the studio
Yeah.
notes as well. Like, can you make it like less, like more aspirational and
Right.
less edible?
Right.
Yeah, could you cut the love scene between him and his mom? Is that
Maybe Deborah's Ferrari? Ooh. The other thing that you wrote up, because I thought it was like one of my favorite Jamie Foxx performances in a while.
For sure.
Like I think he's a really great actor that
Yeah.
sometimes the director's just like, just be like fun Jamie Foxx stuff. But this one is like, oh, you're an actor. You're a fucking actor, and you're killing it in this. But just not given enough to do, and especially like in second time viewing, they don't give him like a single good quality about himself. Like
Yeah.
he's not nice to anyone, and also hasn't like proved himself to be particularly good at crimes like everyone else is.
Yeah, and then on top of that, he doesn't know about music either. He's like, I don't know that music that you're listening to, baby.
Yeah.
And then John Hamm goes and like bonds with him, listening to that.
Queen.
Yeah, that Queen song, and I'm like, and then he becomes bad later on.
Yeah.
And I was just like, who's the bad guy here?
He
Like,
becomes cartoonishly bad, like when, again, spoilers, Baby shoots John Hamm in the diner, and he's on the floor, and he like screams into the heavens, "You'll never escape, baby!" And it's like, oh, you're like a growly like supervillain voice and
Yeah.
screaming weird cliches into the
grew a
night.
mustache suddenly
Yeah.
and it twirled?
right? Yeah,
Weird.
he was very very big
Yeah.
in that movie.
And also, I the first time I watched it, wasn't really thinking about where it was set at all, and then realizing yesterday when I was watching, I was like, oh, this is Atlanta.
Yeah.
This is too white to be Atlanta. This is a
Yes.
really
That's-
strange.
That is, yes, that's I think like that's not even an astute observation. Like that's just like, it's like because it's true. And I was watching it and I was like, wait, they're in Atlanta?
Yeah.
They
If
must
you-
be.
If you told me Minneapolis, I'd be like, all right. Also, maybe a little too
Exactly, but still, I don't buy it.
too white.
Exactly.
Yeah. I feel like if he would have turned this script into a college professor, he would have gotten some notes like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
But,
It could have been in like Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Like they have, I don't know, like the same
yeah,
looking
I've
like
been
buildings
there.
and stuff.
It's
Yeah.
Okay.
lots of cheese.
All right.
Great city if
Lots
you
of
live
cheese,
there.
great
Yeah,
city.
Madison.
You
Yeah.
know, for people who live in Madison. World.
Yeah, Madison. Like, what up?
Yeah. Well, it sounds like we're out of things to say about Baby Driver. We wanted to talk about 444, Jay-Z's new album, on Tidal, or however you can get it.
Well, Dan, tell us more.
Crimes.
Oh, okay. I get it.
Yeah.
I liked it, but I liked it a whole lot. I don't know why I'm underplaying it a little bit, but I have
Yeah.
a lot of thoughts wrapped up in post-retirement work. Like in 2003, Jay-Z retired. He announced like, that's it, I'm done, and here's a perfect album to be like the cherry on top of my career cake. I'll still be popping up here and there, but I'm not making studio albums anymore. And then he's done like 4 albums, and it kind of rubs me the wrong way because it seems like, and this is just me speculating, he's saying, hey, no matter what happens, judge me by this. I'm retired here. This is the stuff. When you're making your list of the greatest rappers of all time, think about this. I'm also going to make some albums that, like, you know, maybe they're not as good. Like, just in case I get really bad towards the end of the line, remember, this is how you remember me. And that seems kind of unfair to me, like, artistically, but
Yeah.
that also might not be why he's releasing post-retirement albums.
Right. I think multiple artists do it for multiple reasons. Some do it because they really do intend to stop, and then just decide to make, you know, American Gangster or whatever because they're super inspired. And yeah, I don't know. I think there's various reasons. I think Jay-Z is so interesting and such like a phenomenal artist that he can put out as many as he wants. But like, I think other people that do that I am more critical of. Like, oh, you're an actor who said they were quitting to get in the news and then are going to do 5 more pirate movies.
And not only that, like, but he.
Who are you talking about?
Yeah, who you
So many of them.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if you think about Jay-Z's albums in between, like when he said he was going to retire, the Black Album, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like 2003, 2004 to like now, he's put out great work. So you can't sit there and Blueprint 3 was an amazing album. So like to say, oh well, he can't be judged on that. Like you want to have that in your sort of like catalog of what you're being judged on, and it was incredible.
I mean, that's the other part of it. He's still great. I just don't understand why there's a pre and post retirement oeuvre. But
because he's trying to be like Jordan, like he wants to come out of retirement and be like, look, I did it. Like I won 3 championships, and then leave, and then come back, and then do it again.
And then play baseball, and then and make a movie with Bugs Bunny. That would be great. Jay-Z and Bugs Bunny. Can you imagine?
well, he watched that with his kids.
Right?
Here's the problem. He sounds too much like Elmer Fudd. Like which one is which? It's your boy Elmer Fudd. Like it would just be too. You know, it's too close.
It's a little too close.
I'm so happy that I didn't know going into this that in your pocket you had a Jay-Z as Elmer Fudd.
Yeah. Silly rabbit. You're crazy for this one. I didn't know you were going to bring up Space Jam. I was going to connect those two.
This was a purely magic moment that no one planned.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. But 444.
444.
It's I like the. I think you described a bunch of it as vulnerable. I like the vulnerable parts. Like there's the one on there. Maybe it's Bam, where he's like, forget about all that stuff. Forget Sean Carter. I'm Hove again, and that's maybe my least favorite on the album because I like 444, where he's like admitting to cheating on Beyonce in an album and like being sad about it. Just really affected me. Really got me.
Yeah, and that song is incredible. Like the sample on that song is incredible, and like it being produced by No ID, like the entire album, it's incredible. Like I listened to that 444 song maybe like 800 times. Yeah. Like nonstop, not 800 times, like 827.
We went up.
I was gonna round up. No, but it was like it's truly incredible. And whatever anyone wants to say about this album, like you could say, oh, it's calculated, it's this and that, and they put out Lemonade, and now they're putting out like this.
Yeah, but Lemonade was just, I think, as vulnerable, and there's like power in vulnerability, especially with like the power couple of like America, Jay-Z and Beyonce, them singing about like their hardships. Is you could just sing about like how great your life is and people would still buy it because it's like, I assume your life is great, but to hear them like be very real with their audience is very powerful.
And he's always at his best when he is vulnerable. Like, and that's not that often with Jay-Z, but like, but like the Black Album he was the most vulnerable, and like that was his greatest album, you know. And he had like this whole like song.
I like Collision Course.
A Collision Course?
Yeah, it's the Linkin Park Jay-Z mashup.
Oh boy, oh boy. No, but like it sort of like called back to that. So like maybe this is like the perfect retirement album because it was like it sort of like reflected or it reflects the Black Album in like this really cool way.
I also like rap talking about adult themes. Like in Story of OJ, he talks about there's like solid financial advice in there, and it's
debt.
Like
you know?
he's just talking about debt and talking about like
credit.
real estate things that he should have done, and like how he feels like Dumbo now that he didn't buy property in this place when he should have.
Dumbo, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a cool
And
turn of
like
phrase.
there's a Ludacris song from a while back called Large Amounts, I think, where he also, it's a song with verse and chorus, and in between chorus and verse, he like also dispenses sound financial advice, just like talking about the stock market and like different like.
Yeah, Too Short does that too.
Yeah.
Where he's like, he'll be talking about all this dirty stuff and like hooking up with girls, and he'd be like, yeah, because you got to save your money and go to school. Like he'll like drop these sort of.
Ready. May I suggest a 401k bond? That way you can invest in future friends with. Anyways, bitches.
Yeah, exactly. Champagne. But like, yeah, I think it's worth. I mean, definitely mentioning like that video for the Story of OJ, which was incredible and a lot to take in visually.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I just in watching that, because I definitely saw that before like listening to the album and everything, but you could tell like what kind of album it was going to be, where he straight up was like, okay, I'm going to put out a video that's not making me look cool, but actually like commenting on like sort of I don't know, this post-Obama like Trayvon Martin like hangover that Black people have in this country.
It's a tough video to watch, and like his voice is really tough to hear in that song. Just the there's a lot of defeat in it. I don't want to, maybe not defeat, but like
it's somber.
The attitude,
it's somber.
It's somber. It's sobering kind of in a way.
Yeah.
A lot of his songs on the album.
And he got kind of in trouble with saying something that came across as anti-Semitic.
Oh, yes.
As well, but
did he? What did
Yeah.
well, he was in giving.
You say it now. Say it.
Right. Well, no, in giving the financial advice, you know, he was sort of saying like, yeah, like don't blow all your money at like strip clubs, but like, you know, what you really need is credit. Like that's how.
Oh right, yeah. It was a strange pivot where it's like, you know, what's better than throwing your money at strip clubs? Credit. And it was like, good advice. And then he says, why do you think Jews own all the property? And then it's like, oh.
Oh, yes. And he did say in an interview, I'm counting on the fact that people know that I am not racist and anti-Semitic. And I was like, not everyone may know that, however, and you know.
Yeah, but it was, everything about that song and that video was over-exaggerated.
Yeah.
And so I think, yeah, I mean, different perspective. So I'm listening to it like, yeah, man, drop that knowledge. You know what I mean? But I get it. Like if, you know, I could see it coming across that way. So.
Yeah.
And also like reclaiming like, I've studied a lot of like cartoons and how they portray like women and people of color throughout history, and like to like reclaim that like cartoonish version that's been like super racist for ever. For the music video, it was very powerful.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Everybody watch that video, listen to the album. There's one thing I don't like about the album, and it's that it's chipmunk soul that comes back. I didn't know how to describe. Yeah.
So you hate early Kanye?
I do. Just that bit of it. Just the over reliance on that really is grating on me, and I feel like it's gone away for a while. And now with 444, I just see, it's Jay-Z. I mean, obviously they didn't say, it's Jay-Z, but it was that voice that was like, you again.
Yeah, it just reminds me of The College Dropout, which I think is arguably one of the greatest albums of all time.
Do you picture Alvin the Chipmunk like singing over his shoulder into the microphone?
Yeah.
Not Theodore. I picture Theodore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Theodore was the one there.
Yeah. He got it. Theodore knew. Well, that's the weekend headlines. We're going to get into our main story this week. There's a video you can find on YouTube called What Writers Should Learn from Wonder Woman. It's by a channel called Just Right. Everyone check it out. It's asking the question, is Marvel ruining their own movies with like glibness or self-awareness? The video calls out like Doctor Strange. There's a moment where I think this is right after Tilda Swinton dies. Spoiler.
Yes.
She's his mentor, and he dies, and he's really sad about that. And you could tell because he's crying, and he knows that he has to like go forth and fight evil now, and he's really sad. And then like his cape that has a mind of its own, just like, wipes the tears away, like just in case this was a somber moment. No, don't worry. We don't take ourselves too seriously.
Carpet from
There are
Aladdin.
always-
Don't
right.
worry.
And I understand the need for balancing drama and action with jokes, especially if this is a movie that you're seeing with your family and everyone wants to have fun. But as the author of the video points out, this is the name for this is bathos. It's named for moments in poems going from serious to trivial. And he says, quote, "There is a dramatic cost that has to be paid whenever bathos is used," and that really rings true, especially for moments like that where, you know, you should be allowed to be sad when your mentor died, and you should be allowed to be like resilient and resigned that you have to go to this big fight. Like that moment should be able to play authentically without needing to be undercut by.
Yeah, I think I like 98% agree with what he's talking about. And in the video, he first shows the scene in Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man movie, which to me was one of the most influential movies that I saw growing up, and my absolute favorite superhero movie because it is so earnest. Like him actually dealing with the death of the person who raised him, and like you could feel the weight of every single decision that he makes in that movie. When like comparing it to Avengers, where, you know, two best friends fighting, but you don't really feel the stakes of it, and they're joking all the time throughout all of it.
Right, they made everyone quippy, like
Yeah.
Robert Downey, Tony Stark is a smartass. Peter Parker is a smartass. Also now, Black Widow is a smartass. Like there's no reason for her to have an arsenal of like zingers ready to go in the middle of a battle, and it's such a strange decision that like we're gonna have all the Avengers fight each other while like doing jokes the entire time, and like half of the Avengers, Cap's side, like Iron Man's side is we don't want to hurt you guys, we just want to stop you because we think you're on the wrong side of history. Captain America's side thinks that Zemo has turned on all of these super soldiers and they're gonna destroy the world. So Captain America's side thinks they're fighting to save the world right now, and they're still just like, we're still on for poker later, right, Hawkeye or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely become like on brand for them. But you know, when something works so well, like they're gonna keep doing it, you know. And when the first Avengers movie came out, like it was so epic and game changing with all the jokes. It was so funny. And before that, there hadn't really been like that much comedy, like in a big budget sort of studio superhero movie. And so, I mean, like I get where it comes from, and I mean, I'm not as mad at it because you know, Joss Whedon, his take worked so well, you know, and that's become like sort of the model. Yeah, but also like they're making a lot of Marvel movies. Like they have to, like, where are they going to go but to start referencing themselves and each other and to get super quippy. But I do agree with you that like, yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of sincerity.
Yeah, I'm hoping, and because they are making so many, I hope that they are open to incorporating both, because if they start referencing themselves, they have to have like the straight, heartfelt superhero stories. Otherwise, they don't have anything to make fun of or make those quips about. So like, I could picture Captain Marvel being like a very important story to tell. And like that's an opportunity for them to go super straight, like a very weighty movie. But I also think it's like a trend in movies as a whole being afraid of deep emotion, because you're taking a risk when you have your characters be vulnerable, taking a note from Jay-Z, I guess. If it doesn't go with the audiences, they're going to be made fun of on every blog.
There's nothing wrong with vulnerability or earnestness. Like the thing, and I think we're all in agreement, which makes for this very dynamic conversation. I like there to be jokes in movies. Certainly, I'm a joke idiot. That's what I like.
I'm an idiot.
But I don't need them to. I don't need them to. Okay, did you say I'm not an idiot?
You're not an idiot.
Okay, then I'm just a joke then.
I was gonna say that. I do.
Okay.
But again, not when it undercuts like the drama of a scene or the tension or the stakes, and like I'm fine seeing somebody being earnest. Like Spider-Man was such an earnest franchise. The original one, he was like very serious about being Spider-Man, and like those movies get looked back on and like, oh, they're cheesy, but you know, it's fine. Cheesy isn't a bad thing. It's a weird world that took itself very seriously, and that's what I came for. The Marvel movies almost seem like they think that Marvel movies are kind of stupid, like Age of Ultron. I think it's most on display. Like Hawkeye is talking to Scarlet Witch, and she's like, I don't know what to do, and he's like, there's a bunch of robots flying around. We're on a city that's floating in the air. I don't have any sleeves, and I shoot arrows. Nothing makes sense. And the theater's like, ha ha ha, he's right. Like, you don't say that. I want to have that conversation with my buddies when I get home about how Hawkeye wouldn't really make sense in this world. I want you to buy into the world you're in. I want you to take it seriously and for you to be part of it and not like wink at the camera about how stupid all this is.
For sure.
Because it's not stupid to us.
Right.
Yeah.
And to like compare it to DC's universe, they have almost an opposite problem where they take themselves so seriously, but they do not have the emotional intelligence to back it up. Like there's no reason for Batman and Superman to be like having this epic fight. We don't connect with it as humans, so it's like, what is happening? I'm not buying in. But what Wonder Woman did correct was it was earnest, it was honest, but it had the story behind it.
Yeah.
It was just a great script that supported it.
And maybe it's like, and that is the sign of the times as well. It's like we've grown tired of sort of this like too cool for school kind of thing. I mean, it was fun with the first Avengers, but I mean, if you notice, it's like we are kind of gravitating towards more like earnest films, and you know, Wonder Woman did hit really hard because of that, but also like, you know, they're setting sort of a ground level. They're at the ground level of their whole just trying to get to where Marvel is now. But but even like with like shows like Stranger Things and like even like with Glow for a certain extent, like it's people are gravitating towards this earnestness of just like, like it's okay to be a little cheesy if it's called for.
Yeah, I like that at no point in Wonder Woman was someone like, it's stupid that you have a golden lasso of truth. They're like, no, this makes people tell the truth, and that's it. And that's what you came for. Like, I'm gonna have an invisible jet in the next one, and you're all gonna deal with it.
Yeah, see, like that's like the SNL like joke of like the earnestness of the world they've created. Like,
and also, and with the first Avengers, like what was funny was that Captain America was like he was serious, and then you had Thor that was like really serious, and everyone else, and it was Iron Man that was joking. Yeah. So you still had people that were like, no, I'm gonna buy into this moment right now. And the funny was sort of butting against that. So, maybe they need more of that.
Well, I think so.
We fixed it.
We did. We did. Also, because you mentioned the Batman, Superman, and even they had this problem. They're not Marvel, but as seriously as they take themselves, they still, in Man of Steel, choke when it comes to saying Superman. Like, Lois Lane and Superman are hanging out, and he's got the S on his chest, and it's like, in my planet, it means hope. And she's like, you know what we should call you? And then she gets cut off, and then he goes away and is like, it's a Superman movie. You should be allowed to say Superman. And similarly, I mentioned this to you guys before the cameras were on, but like Fane's surprise, I'm really mad that they haven't said Avengers Assemble in any of the Avengers movies.
What?
Thank you. Well feigned, gang.
Yes.
They came so close in Avengers Age of Ultron. It ends with Captain America, you know, hero shot, here we come, it's Captain America. And he goes, Avengers! And then it cuts to credits, and like it's clear that Marvel movies think saying Avengers Assembled is stupid. I've read it in comics for decades. It's always a really cool thing to see. It's always a really powerful moment, especially when like the Avengers are fractured, and then Captain America does his rallying cry, and it's like, yeah! And you can say that it's a cheesy duo of words when put next to each other, but I paid money to see someone on screen, among other things, say Avengers Assemble. Like, I'm not gonna be like, if you did that, because I'm the joke who paid for a ticket for this thing.
Well, exactly. And it's like we need them to say Avengers Assemble because we're human and we can't. You know, we have all these walls up. It's hard to connect. We can't be vulnerable with each other. We need them to be vulnerable and say like, you know what, guys, we're gonna save the Earth and be best friends because. We don't do that. We need other people to do it for us.
You know, it's true. Like, you bring up an interesting point. It's like, we do want them to buy into the world. And if we want to joke about it, we'll joke about it later.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's not where we don't want you to reference too much of what we want to outside of the theater.
Yeah. Anyone have any last words on Marvel before we get into questions from our readers or viewers?
Should we say quick takes on Spider-Man? Did we talk about
Ooh.
Spider-Man?
I loved it. Favorite Spider-Man movie so far?
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Really? Like, out of any of them?
Out of any of them, yeah.
Interesting.
I liked it a lot. It did a lot of things right. I did not like it more than the original Spider-Man series with Tobey Maguire.
I had it just above Spider-Man 2
Okay.
as my ranking is Homecoming, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1, Amazing Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I really liked it, but I would have to sort of put Spider-Man 2, the Tobey Maguire one
I get that.
at
Yeah.
first. Just because, I mean, that earnestness was wonderful. And this one did have kind of
It had moments.
an earnestness to it, but it was, I think maybe the action scenes just seemed a little, I don't know.
Yeah, especially
Over
him
the top.
fighting Vulture at the end, where it's all like they're on a sometimes invisible plane and everything's
Yeah.
very dusty. You can't follow the action. Compare that with the way that Sam Raimi, like most of his spider battles in his trilogy, took place in broad daylight with very clear action, and like nothing has beaten the Spider-Man 2 train sequence as far as a Spider-Man action fight scene. It's still great, and it's you know exactly what's going on, and it's fun, and there are stakes.
Yeah, and it was cool to like see Donald Glover in this one though, in a way of like, but it was almost like there were some things that they did because there was that whole thing of like, oh, he should be Spider-Man. I don't know if that was like an intentional sort of like meta thing of being like, we're gonna put him in and make him do weird things with his hands. I was like, is he gonna? What is happening? Is he gonna be?
Well, there's like a big twisted Easter egg, a well-woven web of Easter eggs where Donald Glover is currently voicing Miles Morales, the new Spider-Man, in one of the cartoons, and he doesn't want there to be weapons in the streets because he's got a nephew that lives in the area. His character is Miles Morales' uncle. So the film has teased that Miles Morales is now in the Marvel Cinematic Extended Universe, which is exciting. We're still not close to Donald Glover. Like, none of this means Donald Glover is playing Spider-Man yet.
Right. There was also a hint in Daredevil. They dropped a Morales, a lawyer, who they speculate could be Miles Morales.
Yeah, it's gonna be years later. He's gonna be like 65 years old. Like, I don't know, Donald Glover. It's rumors. Maybe Spider-Man.
I still enjoyed it. Still liked Michael Keaton. I always like.
He was. I wanted his speech to be longer at the end when he was talking. It's like that. I think was the core of the movie. Like his point of view. Like, look at us, little people. And I think that was the core of it. And I think they cut it short.
Yeah.
It was just 2 seconds, and he was wasting time.
I think they must have realized like there's a weird balance to strike between he is the bad guy in this movie, but he's making a whole lot of sense that is really resonating with America right now. Like he is, I mean, evil and killing people, and that's bad. But he's still like, rich people like Tony Stark they don't care about us, and they ran me out of business. The top 1% is running us all out of business, and it's blue collar guys like us. They don't care about us. We need to take matters into our own hands.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of in the movie theaters like, yeah, that's how I feel. And then but I'm like murdering people. Okay, good. This isn't complicated anymore. Good. I was worried.
Well, I mean, obviously, there's a dark side to that, like in the reaction to that. So yeah, I do. Yeah, there's definitely something novel about that.
And it also reflected like Spider-Man's like journey of him being like underappreciated in the Marvel universe or as an Avenger. He's underappreciated. He's a kid. He's looked down upon. So I thought that was so fascinating. I just wish there was more of that.
Yeah, and it was cool to see him. What was cool about that last fight though was that he did lose his suit, and he did this thing of like, or he had to really like sort of earn his stripes like on his own, and that was cool. Like that was cool to see him like all on his own and to sort of like become a man at that moment of like rising out of the rubble, and that was a very cool scene.
It's a weird kind of sadistic feeling I get, but I didn't enjoy, but like really felt when he's trapped under rubble and he's like a kid screaming for help. He's not yet strong enough to lift it up, and he's like whimpering and like I would now as an adult. And it's just like you rarely see that in superhero movies, especially Marvel movies. Like it's Captain America, even when he's scrawny, gets up with a garbage can. It's like, I could do this all day. But this is I really feel for this kid. This kid is trapped,
He was
and
definitely,
I'm glad that they didn't take an opportunity to do the bathos thing. Like he didn't like try to do a push-up and then like a spider flies into his mouth and he gets 10 times stronger. They like let the moment live and let you be scared for him and let you be sad for him, and that's why it's a great movie, and we all agree.
For sure. Marissa Tomei too.
Yeah. I do feel a little bit bad for her because she was really underwritten in this. And
The women were, as a whole, slightly underwritten, and not in all instances, but like as a whole. Yeah. But it's like again,
What about Zendaya?
Zendaya, she
she's
was
cool, but
fun.
she was fun, but yeah, not much depth. And we got her being like, "Oh, I'm this girl, you know," which was like, okay,
Also,
little manic pixie, a little bit.
For sure, and black people in that movie as well. I mean, there was Donald Glover, but they were like kind of all the criminals, and then there was like that African kid on the
Right.
the thing that I didn't understand anything that he said, and I am African. I was like, what are you saying? Can you give him some lines where he makes sense? Because I don't.
Seemed to exist to make jokes about Flash, and like nothing. Like he would just like ring his bell and say that Flash was wrong. It was like that's like.
Yeah.
What is your function? What do you?
Yeah. What is happening? What's your story? Like.
My favorite moment was when the guy playing chess was like, "Hey, what's up?" It was so real, it was so human. Like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing?"
Oh, and
Chess.
yeah, and that kid. There was like a really real scene in the bathroom at the end when he runs into Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, that was very funny.
it was
So good.
that was
Yeah.
super funny, and I don't know if that's a bathos moment, like where but it was so real and like being because I used to teach and those things happen
Really?
where you're like, yeah,
Oh.
yeah, full-time teacher, and so like. Yeah, that was a very real school moment where, like, you, of course, there'd be a kid in the bathroom, and you're having this, like, serious, and you have to wait until, and he's, like, super awkward. He's like, what are they, who's
Yeah,
this
why did they
adult?
stop talking to me?
Yeah, it was beautiful and, like, unexpected.
All right, let's get into questions. You guys have not seen these. I have. All right. Twitter user Not Quite Cool says, you're only allowed to watch the filmography of one actor for the rest of your life. Who do you choose?
That's a hard question.
It's a really hard question. I think I am between several. I think I like Tom Hanks specifically because he has a lot of really broad comedy stuff and a lot of really like heavy dramatic stuff. So I can sort of pick and choose depending on what my mood is. If I'm stuck on this island, I'm sure I'll probably like, let's just watch the Da Vinci Code. It's fine. I can do that. Like I like the breadth of work that he has done. But I also really like Paul Newman.
That's a good. I think maybe William Dafoe. I think.
Okay, all right.
I just feel like every time I watch him, I am just like fascinated by his face and the choices that he makes. I think he's an incredible actor, and the choices that he makes are so surprise me every time. So I never get bored of watching him. And also, then it would include Spider-Man and
The entire Spider-Man trilogy.
the entire Spider-Man trilogy, really. The movie, blanking.
Platoon?
Blanking.
Grand Budapest Hotel?
Yes, I do love that movie. The two Irish brothers.
Boondock Saints.
Boondock Saints.
And the
yes.
sequel, All Saints Day.
And never saw the sequel. Is it good?
It's very bad.
I
and
thought
like
so.
quite homophobic.
Oh,
It's-
no.
Yeah, they've really gone in,
All
in
right.
a very specific direction with it.
Well, I'll leave that one behind on the island.
You can't. You have to take them all.
Okay, I'll take it. I won't watch it though. I'd rather watch one over and over again.
Okay. So you picked. This is a. I don't want to criticize anyone for anything.
It's okay, Dan. You can.
You can have the filmography of one actor, and you don't want to watch all of his movies, and you don't remember the names of your favorite ones.
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
so. Yeah. William Dafoe.
cool.
That face,
His
man.
face, his
That face.
Yeah. I would have to pick Tom Cruise.
Okay.
Wow.
Because of his face. Because of his face.
No.
No,
He has the most boring. He's very boring.
no, it's not because of his face. It's because he's awesome as an actor. Like, you can say whatever you want about Tom Cruise, like outside of his movies.
Let me
but-
jump on this couch and tell you what I think about Tom Cruise.
You know what? You talk about earnestness.
Oh,
That guy's
absolutely.
earnest.
That is
That guy
true.
buys into
That is
everything,
true.
and maybe that's why I love him. But like, if you're talking about like his filmography, like if I'm gonna
Minority
watch all
Report.
those movies, like Far and Away, like Jerry Maguire, Days of Thunder, Top Gun, really cool one that just The Edge of Tomorrow.
I love that movie.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
He made a decent chunk of that garbage mummy movie pretty enjoyable. Like no matter what is going on with that awful movie, it's just like Tom Cruise really thinks there's a mummy after him. You can tell.
Yeah.
It's that earnestness. He really buys it.
He buys in so hard. I mentioned Jerry Maguire, right? Because it's like the perfect movie. And
oh yeah, you do think? I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, it's great. Like Tom Cruise is he's like the best. All day. Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder. We had one of these where we went through like the top 10 comedic performances in movies, and like Tropic Thunder is one of my favorite comedies in the last 15-20 years.
For sure.
I think Tom Cruise is super overrated in that movie. Everyone talks about it, and it drives me crazy.
Well, I think it's because he had not been in a movie for a while, and it was that lull right after the Scientology kind of like, what? So it was the first time people saw him in a while, and I was like, wait, is that Tom Cruise?
Yeah, and
is he uncrazy, or is he still crazy?
Yeah, is this him now?
Did we do this to him?
Is he a character in this? Yeah, it was. I mean, maybe it was unexpected, and there was crazy hype on that movie. But like, if you look at all those performances in that movie, like not only him, but like Danny McBride
so solid.
was incredible. And then
Steve Coogan, again, one of my favorite actors.
Robert Downey Jr. Like that thing that they did in that movie was just unprecedented, and I don't think can ever be pulled off ever again.
No, and like the fact that they got Jack Black for it because he was occupying that spot of like third or fourth male lead for a good stretch of time, and like that's where he is best, and then transitioned into more lead roles, and I didn't care for it. And the fact that he went back for like a third or fourth male lead and was great in it, I was very excited. It was just like Jack Black, just be the Jack Black character actor, all the time. In I guess Jumanji now.
Yeah. Jumanji.
This question I love. Feel free to not have an answer because it requires a lot of thought. K Burke 1020 asks, if filmmakers covered each other the way that musicians do, what director would you like to see cover what movie?
Ooh.
Wait, if film directors
covered movies the way Bob Dylan did Watchtower, Jimi Hendrix did Watchtower, Dave Matthews Band did the best version of Watchtower.
Okay, I would like to see Wes.
I'm ready for a tremendous. Like,
you needed a
this is
moment for
now
that.
what all the comments are going to be about on this episode.
I would like to see Wes Anderson do either a Tarantino film or something that is very fast and has a lot of action, because I think his movies, obviously he deflates everything, which gives him his comedy, it gives him his like sense of timing, which is why people say like it's a Wes Anderson movie. So I just kind of want to see him fuck up someone else's movie, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
Like take out all the dramatic tension.
Wes Anderson's Lethal Weapon.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I thought about Wes Anderson. I thought, even though Clue is a perfect movie, I kind of wanted to see either Edgar Wright or Wes Anderson's Clue, just because of like the way it moves and how it's already so stylized and choreographed. This is less like I want to see someone else's spin on it, and more just like
I want it again.
I want it again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Edgar Wright, that would be a great movie. His Clue.
Yeah. I need to watch Clue. I know.
Zora!
I know.
Oh,
I know.
No. Flames. The side of my face.
I know. Speaking of Wes Anderson, I would want to see Tyler Perry cover Wes Anderson.
That would be great.
Is there a specific Wes Anderson you had in mind?
Maybe Budapest Hotel.
Grand Budapest Hotel for sure. Yeah. Or like maybe like Rushmore would be fun.
Oh yeah.
Because then like Bill Murray's character would just be Medea, which would be really funny. That would just be bananas, because like if you're talking about like such a different like aesthetic and feel and like sensibility,
That's a great one.
It would be bananas.
We have one more question left, and no one needs to answer it because I'll explain why. This is from Twitter user If You Can't Well, which up front I'm just going to say that's Chris Cantwell. He is the creator of the show *Halt and Catch Fire* on AMC. You should watch it. It's good. He's a very bright guy. He's incredibly accomplished. In the song Taco Grande by Weird Al, he says, quote, "Give me something spicy and hot now," but then later says, "You can take away the hot sauce." My question is, does the character singing Taco Grande prefer spicy Mexican cuisine or not? We don't need to answer this because for an hour and a half, Chris and Scott Gardner, creator of Moonbeam City and writer on Conan, and Michael Trulli and Clint Gage of Team Tiger Awesome talked about this at length. There is a tweet thread that everyone should read about hot sauce from Chris Cantwell, and it's just pure madness from people who have way better things to do, clogging up my mentions when I'm trying to get questions for this show.
Okay.
Wow.
That's fun.
Maybe they didn't have a better thing to do because they did that.
We're having fun here. The best thing you could do is give us questions for this show. All right, that's all the questions. That's all the time we have. Maggie, thanks for joining us. Where can they find you on Twitter?
They can find me at Maggie, M-A-G-G-I-E, May with an E, fish, like the animal.
Great. There was a lot of people who were mad when you stopped saying
I
fish
did.
like the animal.
I know.
Yeah.
So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say fish like the food before?
Like the animal. And then I stopped saying it, and people were like,
Yeah.
"You should say like the animal."
Okay.
So I go back and forth.
Yeah. Zor, where can anyone find you on Twitter? And is there anything you want to plug right now?
Yeah, you can find me at Zora Bikangaga, just my full name, Zora Bikangaga. It's all phonetic. No relation to Lady Gaga. I get that joke a lot.
Do you?
I do.
Really?
Yeah, people are like, "Are you married to Lady Gaga?" I'm like, if I was married to Lady Gaga, I wouldn't be here. I'm chilling in a pool with my wife, Lady Gaga. And
You would call me Gentleman Gaga.
Yeah, or Lord Gaga. Can you please address me as Lord Gaga? I should have had that for my Twitter name.
Man.
It's cool. But yeah, I do. I'm in this freestyle rap improv group called Dopetown 3000. We're performing at UCB a lot, so I'll plug that.
Awesome.
Yeah, Dopetown 3000.
Dopetown 3000. Thank you for joining us. I'm Dan. You can find me at DOB_INC. It's DOB Incorporated. And some version of this group will be here next week and on until the end of time. Or we get canceled.
Yeah, one of
Yeah.
those. All right.
Bye.
Bye, America.
Bye, America.
Madison.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I'm glad you watched this on YouTube, but I just wanted you to know that you can also watch this and all Cracked videos on your TV if you have Roku. Get the Cracked channel from your Roku app or from your Apple TV box.